live in interesting times. Today's stories: neo-fascist group rallies ahead of the Italian election. Brazil's Neymar is sidelined for up to 3 months with foot surgery. Venezuela's presidential election has been pushed back to May. U.S. President Donald Trump to hit China and Europe with steep steel and aluminum tariffs. In boxing, Wilder will defend his title against unbeaten Ortiz in March. Mexican hosts open difficult new rounds of NAFTA talks. Plus, Christian Brotherhood International efforts in Canada. FYM Foundation holds food drive in Toronto, Ontario. Anime Revolution rocks Vancouver. This is Eagle News Canada, bringing you stories from around the globe. I am Arnie Aquino. Unpredictable candidates, clandestine polls, and a cameo appearance by mysterious blonde Italians. Serena Matala with a report.
As the March for vote to elect Italy's new prime minister nears, here are some of the campaign's most memorable moments. Far-right leader Matteo Salvini was ridiculed by opponents after unveiling his party's Italy First campaign posters displaying images of fair, blonde families.
Io credo che la carta dell'antifascismo, se è quello a cui facciamo riferimento, è stata gettata nel dibattito politico appositamente nell'ultima settimana di campagna elettorale perché gli altri non hanno più argomenti, non hanno più carte da giocare. Si interromperà dopo le elezioni del 4 e finirà tutto in burletta come al solito.
Suspect Italians were actually revealed to be Czech and Slovak models. Salvini defended himself by insisting that, for him, the 5 million foreigners residing legally in Italy were like Italians, even if he vehemently opposes the idea of granting their children the Italian nationality. Italy has a ban on publishing poll surveys in the 15-day run-up to the election. However, some websites have tried to sidestep the rule, displaying their predictions under the guise of a horse race. On the race course, Luis the Subjunctive, five-star leader Luigi Di Maio's nickname because of his reputation for poor grammar, was outrunning the bragger former Premier Matteo Renzi and was also hot on the heels of the burlesque stable thoroughbreds Silvio Berlusconi's right-wing coalition. However, the sites quickly stopped their clandestine predictions after being threatened with a hefty fine by communications authorities.
Le nostre proposte come l'uscita dall'euro e dall'Unione Europea e lo stop all'immigrazione, siamo gli unici a parlare in un certo modo agli italiani, hanno trovato un forte riscontro, soprattutto dopo che Matteo Salvini e Giorgia Meloni si sono messi insieme a Berlusconi e quindi con i moderati e sono pronti a fare un nuovo governo tecnico e quindi a non portare avanti le istanze sovraniste e identitarie che invece soltanto Casa Pound porta avanti.
It wouldn't be an Italian election without plenty of drama and scandal-hit representatives. Whether candidates are implicated in minor investigations or up to their necks in shady activities, parties have traditionally tended to stick by their flock, deeming them innocent until proven guilty. This year, no party has come away unscathed, even the five-star movement, which has built its reputation around a clean record and anti-corruption stance. Party leader Luigi Di Maio was forced to exclude more than a dozen candidates who have had run-ins with the law. But with the candidate list finalized ahead of the vote, there is nothing to stop the bad apples being elected anyway. The outgoing parliament has been the most volatile in the history of the Italian Republic. Some 347 MPs or senators elected in 2013, 35% of parliament, have switched allegiances over the last 5 years, some of them several times. The Five-Star Movement has lost 39 MPs and senators who have jumped ship or been expelled. But the prize for most indecisive goes to Senator Luigi Campagna, who has changed parliamentary group 9 times. A social media popularity contest has kicked off as the election closes in, with each candidate trying to maximize exposure. Renzi is way ahead on Twitter with 3.3 million followers. Lagging behind him are Salvini with 600,000 followers and Di Maio with 290,000. Surprisingly, bringing up the rear is the flamboyant and gaffe-prone Berlusconi with just 26,000 followers, but he is new to the platform, having joined in late 2017. Facebook shows a more level playing field. Salvini holds the lead with 2 million likes, followed by Di Maio with 1.2 million, and once again Berlusconi in last place, but this time with a more respectable 1 million likes. Zarina Matala, Eagle News, 1 with 25.
Thanks, Serena. Brazil's Neymar has been sidelined for up to 3 months with a foot surgery.
Brazilian superstar Neymar will be sidelined for up to 3 months, perilously close to the eve of the World Cup, after undergoing surgery on his broken foot. The worse than previously announced prognosis came minutes after the Paris Saint-Germain striker arrived in Rio de Janeiro on an Air France flight from Paris for Saturday's operation. The injury has not only ruled the world's most expensive player out of PSG's make-or-break Champions League clash with Real Madrid on March 6, but more worryingly for the football-mad public in Brazil, also threatens the much-fancied national side's build-up to the World Cup, starting in Russia on June 14. Lasmar, who will lead the surgery at a hospital in Belo Horizonte, underlined that there is no quick fix for the striker. Dressed in a black hoodie, a black baseball cap, and wearing sunglasses, Neymar left the plane in a wheelchair. He smiled and took selfies with other passengers before leaving on a private jet to an undisclosed destination. The initial assessment did not appear quite as serious on Sunday, when Neymar was reported to have suffered a hairline fracture of the fifth metatarsal as well as a twisted ankle late in PSG's 3-0 win over Marseille in League One. On Tuesday, the Brazilian's father, Neymar Sr., had claimed the player would be out for at least 6 weeks. PSG coach Unai Emery has said earlier that there remained a small chance of getting him back in time to face Real. Lasmar's assessment painted a graver picture both in terms of fracture and expectations for recovery. The drama is a big personal setback for Neymar, who has been at the center of the world's footballing attention since his €222 million move from Barcelona last August. He has scored 28 goals in 30 appearances in all competitions for PSG since arriving. But on Sunday, he looked to be in tears as he was stretchered off the fields at the Parc des Princes. PSG lost 3-1 to Real in the first leg of their European tie in Spain 2 weeks ago and are in danger of being knocked out of the competition in the last 16 for the second season running. Brazilians' attention is entirely trained on the World Cup, where they have ambitions of walking away with a sixth title after the humiliation of crashing out 7-1 to Germany in the 2014 semi-finals on home soil. Even if Neymar gets back in time, he appears sure to miss 2 warm-up games against Russia and Germany in March. Lou Aquino, Eagle News, 1 with 25.
Venezuela postponed its presidential election until the second half of May, as President Nicolas Maduro seeks a second 6-year term despite the oil-rich country's widespread economic woes. Kenny Aquino with a report. Kenny?
The National Electoral Council, also known as CNE, announced the election had been pushed back from the scheduled date of April 22nd, but did not give a precise date in May for the polls.
Es un acuerdo de garantías amplias para que todas y todos aquellos quienes amamos la democracia podamos participar con las debidas garantías en el evento electoral presidencial del Consejo Legislativo y de Consejos Municipales del próximo mes de mayo.
According to the contents of the CNE statement, Maduro's main challenger, dissident former socialist Henry Falcon, appears to have won several concessions on conditions for elections in talks with the government.
Son elecciones de presidente de la República, de consejos legislativos estadales y de consejos municipales, que son las dos instancias que tienen sus mandatos vencidos. No, en modo alguno, está convocada o está en este acuerdo la convocatoria de elecciones de Asamblea Nacional.
According to the agreement, UN Chief Antonio Guterres will be invited to send an observer mission to monitor all phases of the process. The government in Caracas also agreed to extend the deadline allowing Venezuelans abroad to register to vote and to ensure equal access to media and social networks during the campaign. The demand for the presence of an international observer mission had been a key demand of the fractured opposition coalition, the Democratic Union Roundtable, or MUD, which decided to boycott the election when negotiations with the government broke down. Ordinary Venezuelans are struggling with the hyperinflation that the International Monetary Fund projects will climb to 13,000% this year, along with chronic shortages of basic foods and medicine. Maduro's leading opponents have been barred from standing in the election, leading some to argue that the deeply unpopular leader is rigging the vote. The MUD has called the election a fraudulent show.
Sabemos que este es un gobierno tramposo. Sabemos que este es un gobierno que en otras oportunidades ha incumplido los acuerdos. Pero también aquí hay una voluntad y una experticia que va a estar vigilante de que todo lo aquí expuesto se cumpla.
The MUD on Thursday called on Falcon, a 56-year-old retired military officer, to withdraw from the election, accusing him of legitimizing a poll lacking in any guarantees that it would be free and fair. Political scientist Luis Salamanca noted that the elections had already been pushed back from December to April. Falcon said earlier this week that private negotiations were taking place between the government and some opposition groups about the date and conditions for the elections. The CNE's chairman, Debisay Lucena, said the agreement of both sides demonstrated the fact that our leaders and representatives are elected with broadest constitutional and democratic guarantees. According to the private polling firm, Instituto Venezolano de Análisis de Datos, Falcon has 24% voter support, while Maduro has 18%. But that doesn't take into account the vast Socialist Party machinery and sway over state institutions that Maduro has. Kenny Aquino, Eagle News, 1 with 25.
Thank you, Kenny. Up next, U.S. President Trump to hit China and Europe with steep steel and aluminum tariffs. In boxing, Wilder will defend his title against the unbeaten Ortiz in March. Mexican hosts open difficult new round of NAFTA talks. Eagle News Canada will return in a moment. Welcome back. You are watching Eagle News Canada. U.S. President Trump will hit China and Europe with steep steel and aluminum tariffs. Tiffany Alasasis for the report.
Despite fierce opposition from inside the White House, U.S. President Donald Trump announced punishing steel and aluminum tariffs Thursday, teeing up a possible trade war with China and Europe. Trump ended rumor and counter-rumor about his administration's intent by saying that next week he would sign off on measures designed to protect U.S. producers. Meeting in the cabinet room with representatives of U.S. business, Trump announced tariffs of 25% on steel products and 10% on aluminum, materials that are the lifeblood of the construction and manufacturing sectors.
I don't blame the other countries. When I was in China, I said, listen, President Xi, I have a lot of respect for President Xi. I said, I don't blame you. If you're able to get away with making almost $500 billion a year off of our country, how can I blame you? Somebody agreed to these deals. And those people should be ashamed of themselves, what they've let happen. So we're bringing it back, and we're going to bring it back relatively rapidly, and we're going to be instituting tariffs. Next week, we'll be signing.
The announcement is sure to be greeted with fury in Beijing and Brussels, where officials have already warned of countermeasures. But Trump's decision, which leans on a rarely used national security provision in global trade accords, could also have a deep impact on producers in South Korea and Canada.
Steel and aluminum, we'll see a lot of good things happen. We're going to have new jobs popping up. We're going to have much more vibrant companies, and then the rest is going to be up to management to make them truly great. If you could ever make U.S. steel like it used to be, we'd be very happy, and I actually think it's possible.
The timing of the announcement will be seen as especially provocative in China, coming as top envy Liu He visits Washington. Liu recently ascended to the country's powerful Politburo and is tipped as a possible future chair of the Chinese Central Bank. He had been due to meet U.S. officials, although not the president. Sources familiar with Trump's decision says he came up against stern oppositions from asides like Gary Cohn, who argued the move could ultimately damage U.S. industry. There was no doubt about whether he would pull the trigger up to the last moment, but it was trade hawks like Peter Navarro, who, after weeks on the sidelines, was in the cabinet room as Trump made his remarks, who appeared to have won the day. The same sources say that it is not impossible that the shock announcement is followed by carve-outs that make the measures more palatable to allies in Europe, Canada, and South Korea. Tiffany Alisasis, Eagle News, 1 with 25.
Thank you, Tiffany. Undefeated American heavyweight Deontay Wilder will defend his World Boxing Council crown in March against unbeaten Cuban contender Luis Ortiz in New York. Sabir Mufti for the report.
Undefeated American heavyweight Deontay Wilder will defend his World Boxing Council crown in March against unbeaten Cuban contender Luis Ortiz in New York. The move comes amid reports that rival unbeaten champions Anthony Joshua of Britain and Joseph Parker of New Zealand are in final talks to fight in March and could set the stage for the winners to meet for an undisputed crown later this year. Wilder's title bout will be staged March 3rd at Barclays Center in Brooklyn, the same venue where Wilder stopped Canada's Berman Stavern in the first round last November, in the sixth defense of the crown he took from Stavern in 2015, his 3-year reign, the longest in the division. Wilder is 39-0 with 38 knockouts, his only fight to reach the distance, the bout with Stavern 3 years ago, while Ortiz is 28-0 with 24 knockouts, his most recent bout a knockout of American Daniel Martz last month.
I'm the best. People say he's the best. He say he's the best. I want to see who's the best. I'm very adamant about finding out who's the best heavyweight in this division.
Joshua, the World Boxing Association and International Boxing Federation champion, is 20-0 with 20 knockouts, and according to the BBC, nearly set for a March 31st bout at Cardiff against Parker, the World Boxing Organization champion, who is 24-0 with 18 knockouts.
I think I'm blessed to be in the perfect sport, to be able to unleash certain things that I feel, to be able to gather certain things, and on this special night, to be able to release it and become a free man at the end of the night. And that's where that killer instinct come in. That, you know, you must have it in this sport. You must have a killer instinct to say that I'm going to go in there and do this. I get paid to beat a man. How brutal that sounds.
Joshua says his goal is to unify the titles and fight all champions by the end of this year. I'm Sabir Mufti reporting for Eagle News, 1 with 25.
Thanks, Sabir. Negotiators from the United States, Mexico, and Canada opened a new round of talks Sunday on overhauling the North American Free Trade Agreement, with the Mexican hosts warning of turbulence, but analysts are expressing cautious optimism. Rosalie Castro with more details.
Mexican Economy Minister Ildefonso Guajardo said the renegotiation of the 24-year-old trade deal is entering a critical phase as the three countries begin their 7th round of talks, set to run through March 5th.
Es que es completamente inaceptable sentarnos a negociar con un presidente como Donald Trump, que nos ha dicho violadores, que nos ha dicho criminales, que nos ha dicho que vamos a pagar por el muro en impuestos a través del propio Telecán. Preferimos que no haya Telecán ahora a que haya un Telecán que no nos pueda beneficiar.
Adding to the tensions, a planned visit to Washington by President Enrique Pena Nieto has been canceled after President Donald Trump, in a contentious phone conversation, insisted that Mexico pay for a controversial border wall. At the last round of talks in Montreal, U.S. Trade Representative Robert Lighthizer said the three sides were making progress, but very slowly. The uncertainty looming over the deal is only increasing as the clock ticks on. Mexico, which sends some 80% of its exports to the United States, is gearing up for elections on July 1st. The presidential frontrunner, the fiery leftist Andres Manuel Lopez Obrador, has sent mixed signals on NAFTA, saying at one point that he would restart the negotiations and make Donald Trump see reason. Washington has also sent mixed signals, since Trump triggered the renegotiation of what he has described as the worst trade deal in history. While Trump's message that NAFTA costs American jobs has played well with his base, the U.S. business sector and many big players in his own Republican Party oppose sweeping changes. Rosalie Castro, Eagle News, 1 with 25.
Thank you, Rosalie. Christian Brotherhood International efforts in Canada. FYM Foundation holds a food drive in Toronto, Ontario. And Anime Revolution rocks Vancouver. That's next. Eagle News Canada will return shortly. This is Eagle News Canada. I am Arnie Aquino. The Christian Brotherhood International, or the Organization of Student Members of the Church of Christ in Alberta, Canada, donates school supplies for children in the Philippines. Here's Thomas for the report.
The Christian Brotherhood International, or the Organization of Student Members of the Church of Christ in Eastwood, Canada, donated school supplies for children in the Philippines. Pencils, notebooks, erasers, crayons, sharpeners, and educational books were bundled together to send to the Philippines. CBI members personally wrote letters to the child recipients with words of encouragement, decorated with some fun drawings. In the Philippines, many parents often have difficulty paying for their child's formal schooling. Sending help like this eases that burden a little bit. Here in Canada, a robust economy and job opportunities make school expenses less burdensome. Thus, sharing what church members have is their way to express gratitude. Reporting from Edmonton, Canada, Thomas I. Likeness, Eagle News. I'm 1 with 25.
Thank you, Thomas. The Global Church Iglesia Ni Cristo teams up with the Daily Bread Food Bank in North York Harvest for an impactful food drive. Marielle?
A 2-week campaign, thousands of volunteers, £13,000 of staple food items, all wrapped up today by volunteers of the Felix Y. Manalo Foundation to give to the Daily Bread Food Bank, North York Harvest Food Bank, and Ottawa Food Bank. This is just the beginning of the humanitarian efforts supporting this year's fight against hunger and poverty of the FYM Foundation. This is the first time a single organization will donate more than £9,000 of food at one time.
My first reaction, I walked down into the basement and there were piles of boxes everywhere and there were people everywhere, and I thought, man, this is a fire hazard. There's just so much food, and I'm so excited for the Daily Bread and the North York Harvest to share in the generosity there. Every single box is a gift of love, and it's pretty awesome to be able to walk through that maze of boxes. But more importantly, it was wonderful to see the smiling faces of every single volunteer. I saw children with their moms and dads just working together on a common cause, and that's going to bring family together, and it's going to make sure that when those families get together, that other families benefit.
Ms. Anishka Ali, Director of Development and Marketing, North York Harvest Food Bank, applauds the network and mobilization of the members of the Church of Christ. More than doubling what the foundation has donated in October last year, thousands of boxes were filled with 5 priority items: rice, oil, canned beans, canned tomatoes, canned fish, and meat. These staples are versatile and nutrient-dense food to help maintain good health.
Well, so the impact goes way beyond so in total there were 18,000 pounds of food. So that's great. That's a whole lot of meals. But I think we can go one step beyond what is that impact. So there's nourishment to every single family that is getting one of the meals. But let's talk about it as a church, as a whole. You know, what we are able to do is nourish ourselves and get together. I've just got to meet some amazing people here who all have the same values, who all share in the same loves that I do, and so there's a strengthening of community as a whole.
Reporting from Toronto, Ontario, Canada, I am Mariel Flores, 1 with 25.
Thanks, Marielle. Now here's Kara Kabusao for the Annie Revo in Vancouver. Kara?
We are here at De La Salle College, Vancouver, where the Anime Revolution is held. Let's go and see what it is all about. Anime Revolution, or Annie Revo, is the largest and fastest growing anime convention in Vancouver, British Columbia. This winter season is a 2-day convention held at De La Salle College, Vancouver in February of 2018.
I'd say Annie Revo tends to focus a lot more on Japanese culture, so we really work hard to bring more of that in. So like a good example of that is just the May Cafe right beside me here. They have plenty of them in Japan and we wanted to emulate it for our own con.
Annie Revo Winter celebrates the culture of Japan over 2 fun-filled days of activities, exhibits, panels, and performances. It offers art, animation, comics, contests, costumes, cultural displays, dance, games, musical performances, and much more.
Our featured events for today include the cosplay contest. We have several dance idol groups performing. We have the J-pop K-pop workshop, which is a dance workshop, and we have plenty of other events such as LAN gaming, Overwatch tournaments, other kinds of console gaming, and lots of good stuff.
One of the highlights of the event is cosplay. Cosplayers dress up their way to take home the trophy. The Overwatch tournament is also a hot topic. It is a 6-player online PC game where they battle with other teams from within the room. The event also offers a variety of exciting activities such as anime film showing, karaoke, dance and acting workshop, and a mini market where various anime souvenirs like t-shirts, mugs, accessories are sold. An artist corner showcased local talents. An even larger summer Annie Revo event is on its way this August at the Vancouver Convention Centre. From Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada, I am Kara Kabusao, 1 with 25.
Thank you, Kara. That is this week's Eagle News Canada. Join us again next week as we bring stories that matter to you. Visit our website at Eaglenews.PH. Like us on Facebook. And follow us on Twitter at twitter.com/EagleNewsPH. Thank you for watching. I am Arnie Aquino. I am 1 with 25.